Hello, Patrick Bartlett here. Welcome to the Loft. Welcome to my kitchen in the Loft. And welcome to our podcast video on systematic wine tasting. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do a very quick rundown of what I call the 5 S's, and probably a lot of people call the 5 S's of wine tasting, which are, let me just go through those real quickly, sight, swirl, smell, sip, swallow, and or spit. And I say spit because professional wine tasters, like I will be next month for a wine competition with over 100 wines tasting in a couple of hours, have to spit. But recreational wine tasters, like we are together right now, get to swallow. So we're going to swallow. I'm here with my basic setup, and while you're watching this podcast, be prepared to hit the pause button and set up your own wine tasting and play along with me, because that's what makes this fun, is our interacting together in this virtual world of wine tasting. So I put down a white cloth because I like to be able to see my wine a little bit better over white. I can see the color better, I can see the clarity better, and all those fun things. And I have my bottle of wine, and today we're going to be tasting a Zinfandel. I picked Zinfandel because I thought maybe I could throw in a little bit about this wine. As you know, Zin is a classic California, iconic wine from Northern California. It originally kind of found its fame in the Sierra foothills, kind of near Tahoe. And Zinfandels are great wines for many, an evolving wine drinker, because they're very fruit forward, they're very expressive, they can be very rich and structured, and they have lots of interesting things going on that are easy to identify, like black pepper in the finish. So it just makes it a fun wine. So the Zin I'm pouring today is from Masia de Yabar. It is a artisanal winery here in Southern California, and this one was very small production, handcrafted. So it's my first time tasting it, so we should have some fun together. So got my glass, got my bottle of wine, got my cloth. Let's start. So first thing, sight. Very important in sight. You're just looking for clues in color. Obviously, the darker the color, the more intense the color, probably the darker and more intense the flavor. The lighter the color, and the brighter the color, the lighter and more brighter the flavor. The only other thing to remember is hues, and that's a big clue for wines. If it's more of a purple hue, and on the purple side, it's probably a younger wine. As it starts moving more towards the ruby reds and the brick colors, it's probably got more age on it, and it's an older wine. So those are your basics: dark, intense, light, brighter, purple, younger, deep red, brick, older. So that's sight. So you look at the wine, you kind of get a clue for, I know this is going to be a pretty structured wine based on the deep, dark color. It's probably not super old because it's not really bricky yet. It still has tinges of purple, but it's starting to move into more of a red, and it's got a very deep, dark core, which tells me that it's probably a pretty big, pretty rich wine. So that's sight. Number 2, we're going to swirl. Now, oftentimes I'll smell it before I swirl it, just real quickly, because I want to kind of get a sort of an anchor of where the smell or where the nose is going before I swirl it. Because when you swirl it, you're opening it up to oxygen, and you're expanding the nose. So we're going to go ahead and swirl it. And then what you want to do is just get your nose deep in that glass. And hopefully, if you're doing this with a bunch of friends and you're all watching this together, you're all having fun with this. And some of you may have more Italian noses, and you might get a little wine on your nose, and some of you may have little short noses, and you might not even be able to get your nose in the glass without drowning yourself before you smell it. But the fun thing is, the fun part of it is just to get your nose in there and get a good smell and have fun. So let's go ahead and smell this wine. We've swirled it. Now, on smelling the wine, which is the most important part of the tasting, just prior to tasting it, you're looking for clues again. You're looking for, are you smelling a lot of fruit? Are you smelling a lot of spice? Are you smelling a lot of earth? These are all clues. We know that Zinfandels are big fruit-forward wines. We know that Zinfandels are riper wines, often have sort of a jammy, kind of extracted fruit nose to them. And we know that oftentimes Zinfandels have that peppery spice in the back. So those are all things, if you know your tasting is in, you might want to be looking for to see if it really matches the Zin profile. So this one does. It's got big, dark, jammy fruit, blackberries, black cherries, some almost currants. It's got a little bit of that spice in the middle. I can smell a little bit of that black pepper and the oak that comes from the American oak this was made on. So finally, our first step is tasting. So let's go ahead and taste this wine and see if our nose matches up. Hopefully you have a bottle of wine you're tasting along with me. And hopefully you're making mental notes right now just like I am. The mental notes I'm making are that this wine definitely is a nice bottle of wine. I'm enjoying this. It's got on the front palate, right up front, that fruit that I'm looking for. And it's definitely a ripe, sort of a rich fruit. Definitely more on that sort of almost a spicy currant sort of flavor. Maybe some dark plum, a little bit of blackberry. And then right in the middle, the spice starts coming out. And then what I like to do is kind of follow the journey that it takes. You've got your front, your middle, and your back palate. So those are your three basic. And your front is that first impression, mid kind of settles in, and your back palate, is where it finishes out. So on my back palate, it's hanging on to that dark sort of almost a peppery, chocolatey sort of thing going on with the currants that I tasted earlier on. So all in all, beautiful Zinfandel, and it's matching up. Dark color, rich nose, nice palate, nothing wrong with this wine. It's a very pretty wine, and so I've just gone through the basics of systematic wine tasting, the 5 S's. And the 5th of the 5 S's was I swallowed it rather than spitting it because I like this wine, and I don't have to taste 100 of them in an hour. So I hope you enjoyed our little session today. I hope that you glean just the basics so that you're more empowered when you go out wine tasting to have fun with your wine and kind of let the wine tell its story. And that's what I always like to say, that you really have to trust your palate when you're tasting wine and have fun with it. Have frickin' fun with it. Don't let anybody else influence you. Don't let somebody else tell you it's good or bad. Don't let somebody else tell you it's good for food, not good for food. Don't let somebody else tell you anything about it that you can't discover yourself by tasting it and enjoying it and really getting a feel for the wine. So thank you for coming today. If you want to watch more of my video podcasts on wine tasting, on cooking, on fun things to do with food and wine, visit me at www.patrickbartlett.me. I look forward to seeing you there, and have a great day. Enjoy your wine.